Hello, I am sorry, but I must interrupt this show.
You know what it is. Hey, Ham Solo. It's time, baby. Low. It's time how we do. Hey.
They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 They said we said we in. They said we said we on. They said we said we strong. They said we said we go. We say that you heard right. 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 Man, I swear that it's imminent. I've been going so hard on my penmanship. About to go in and buy me a whip. And I pull that shit fresh off the dealership. I can leave you around like an Xbox. Got me laughing at you like you Red Fox. Got you chasing Hot Wheels like a Matchbox. EA running the game and it don't stop. Super cold like I'm playing for Blizzard. Got you all in my sights like Red Dead Redemption. Never gonna slip on my pimpin'. Better get out my way, bitch, I'm on a mission. Really ain't no competition. I'm steady grilling opposition. I'm get up and ready to win. They can play it how they play, but fuck what you say. I'm getting this money today. Last of us like a dying breed. Down the ride like a noble steed. Fatality moves, I make it bleed. That's on any game, that's on any screen. Shut up and give me your money. They said we so lit. Even if I take an L, we coming back just to show that we don't quit. They said we in. They said we on. They said we strong. They said we go.
Oh, I was muted. Okay, great. I was wondering what was going on. Okay, welcome everybody to the show. This is your boy Ham. So I was wondering, I was like, man, my mic thing ain't moving. So just to guys kind of give you guys a little heads up, you might notice that things are looking a little bit different than they were in the past. And that's because OBS tried to charge me $800 to keep going on their service. And I was like, nah, dog. I'm all set. So I went back to YouTube, or not YouTube, but OBS and whatnot, and I'm using Discord and stuff now, and it actually looks a lot better than it did using StreamYard. So I'm happy to be here with my old school setup and kind of innovated a little bit. But right now, here today, I got brother Mads Gaming here with me to talk about a little bit of gaming news that's been kind of cracking and going down as of recently. To be more focused, we are going to be talking specifically about Xbox. This show is going to be called Xbox versus the Gamer, because right now it really feels like we just don't know what to come to expect from Xbox. But regardless, they are hooking us up with some stuff, so there's not just it's not all animosity, but it is a little bit of confusion there. First, before we get into the topics, I just want to go on ahead and say hello to Mads one more time, and also ask you, brother, what's been going on and what you've been playing as of lately.
How's it going, guys? Hello, everyone. First off, thanks for inviting me to the show. Really appreciate that. What I've been playing, funny enough, Call of Duty. Everyone plays Call of Duty right now, I guess, but I've been actually playing Dragon's Age Origins lately as well, because I just really wanted to play these games again. And to be honest with you, I've never been a big fan of these games in the past. I did play the third one in the series, Inquisition, something like that, right? But I never played the original games. I was more of a Mass Effect kind of guy, really. Not necessarily, Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm actually playing it right now, and I'm actually enjoying it. So if I like it, I'll play through all four of them, slowly but surely. So that's what I've been playing for the most part, and some other games here and there, like DSX lately as well. That's me. But what you've been playing?
Bro, so I beat Metaphor, ReFantazio. We were talking about it just a little bit before the show started. You had some questions about like how long it was and whatnot. I'll be coming out with a video kind of breaking down some of my complete thoughts about it, but I will just kind of give you some cliff notes while we're here talking about it as of right now. So yes, I have completed Metaphor ReFantazio, and yes, it was long just as you thought. Mads, yes, the Atlas games don't mess around with time. They tell, in fact, in some of their games, they tell you to take your time purposefully because they know it's going to be a long stretch. It took me in total about 110 hours to beat that game. So yeah, it's a thick, it's a thick mamma jamma, right? There's a lot of gameplay and stuff to do in it. There's also a lot of story too. So like, you'll hear a lot of interesting stuff. Be pitted against some awkward situations, and I mean, all in all, you're still like, no matter, like, I know it's an RPG, but you're still working towards like there's no real changing your direction of what you're doing for the end game, as much as there's just like, how are you in a relationship with other people?
Okay.
Right? And that may help or not help the outcome of the end of the game and whatnot. But I love the game. I thought it was phenomenal. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10 because I couldn't stop playing it until I finished it. And I knew I had other games that I wanted to play as well. That being, Dragon Age that just dropped today. I'm really excited to get into that game. I will be playing it as soon as I'm done with this podcast. Also excited for Indiana Jones, Stalker, and I've been playing some Call of Duty. That campaign is phenomenal.
Pretty good.
And the zombies, this is the first time I ever really got into zombies on Call of Duty. I haven't played zombies since World at War, if you remember how long ago that was, right? I think that was like a 360 title, right?
So much, yeah.
so yeah, it's been a little while, and man, I'm loving it. The Omni movement, whether it's multiplayer, zombies, or campaign. Surprisingly, on the campaign, the Omni movement feels so great because you're doing a lot. Like you can be doing some stealth missions in there, and not having prone block get displayed repeatedly on you is a nice feeling. Being able to just kind of sit on your ass and wait for somebody to come towards you and then knock them out. It's pretty nice. But yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing as of lately. As for like news and stuff, though, like things have been kind of weird lately. I mean, I should say, really, the entire year has been kind of wild, right? With developers, losing jobs, also with games going on to other platforms, not just Xbox to Nintendo or Xbox to PlayStation, but also you're starting to see more PlayStation games hitting PC quicker than prior years, and also we're seeing a PlayStation game going to Nintendo, and that's a head scratcher right there, right? Especially seeing that they didn't have any tie-in with that series prior, other than just Legos in general, right? But I think PlayStation kind of sees what Xbox sees into where they may not have total control under this IP, but they're kind of familiar with something with it, that being like the Legos franchise, right? And just saying they like to buy these games and we want to get our name out there, so let's just throw it out. I think it's as simple as that. People are making it way more complicated than it needs to be. I think it's as simple as they got a lot of customers, they like Lego, we want Horizon Lego, we make easy money and then bring you over to our platform eventually, possibly. Is that crazy?
Yeah, good potential. I mean, at the end of the day, like all these companies are looking for new revenue streams, right? I mean, good old kind of console business is kind of done, to be honest with you, for the most part. And, like they've got all these kind of IPs, and, these games are so expensive to make these days that it's just crazy to keep them just on one platform, right? And, do we want to focus on PlayStation alone right now, or where do you want to go? Because like when it comes to PlayStation, I feel like they are very, very cautious. They are very slow when it comes to adapting to like the market, I guess. And I understand why, because they are the leader. They don't want to lose that that leadership shirt. And the thing is that like they cannot just turn around and say one day that like, okay, so now all games are going to be everywhere, right? Like
Right.
Xbox kind of did really like lately, although it took them some time to get there as well. It wasn't like overnight decision, of course. So we will see. I mean, people say that like, oh, so PlayStation is following what kind of, I guess, Xbox footsteps, right? I guess to a degree, but not fully. And I don't think that they will get there in a sense that, like you said, they are obviously pretty much full on PC right now. Yes, with some delays and everything. But as you mentioned, like these time differences between the launches, like on PlayStation and PC, are getting shorter and shorter. Now, obviously, any sort of like games as service, day one on PC as well. Like, look what happened with Helldivers 2. Day one on PlayStation and
And to be
PC.
honest, that's a beautiful thing, really. That was nuts.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, like most people actually played this game on PC, even though it was limited because they limit the number of countries that this game was available for because of the PlayStation Network kind of sign-in thing, I think, requirements, something like that. So it was not available in all places on Steam, if you know what I mean, when it comes to countries. Now Concord was day one on PC as well. Like, okay, it flopped, but we're talking about like what Sony is trying to do here,
Right.
and now we actually seeing like PlayStation expanding to Nintendo. So I guess the question is, when are they going to reach for that Xbox audience?
Well, they already have something slated to do so with Marathon, right? So that's kind of like their test without having to stress themselves out to get everything over there, because they're not trying to do that, like you said, right? They're trying to be very strategic. And does this make sense? We want to take advantage of Microsoft. We don't want to help them. Mm-hmm. That's their whole idea behind it. So let's go ahead and actually get into what we're here to talk about, which is Xbox for the most part. Not sit here and, I mean, I think it is smart to bring up Sony and Nintendo and yada yada, just because it's all kind of in the same genre or in the same area of topic. But for the most part, we're here to talk about the Xbox and how they're hanging and whatnot. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna throw it on the screen right here. It is probably an article that you're familiar with. It's labeled Microsoft CEO Game Division Update. We continue to extend our content to new platforms. We are bringing great games to more people. This article was written on the 24th of October, so about 5 or 6 days ago, give or take. It had Satya Nadella pretty much talking about it, and I know you did a video talking about some of this stuff already. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, see, it's a tough cookie to swallow because on one hand, he says that he wants to continue to extend, obviously their content to new platforms. But at the same time, he also talks about Xbox exclusive Xbox content or something like that. And I think that was pretty much in the same kind of, it was said during the same meeting, right? And I understand that, I understand what they're doing here. Like they released these 4 or 5 games this year for PlayStation and Nintendo as well. Not all of them, because Nintendo wasn't really actually powerful enough for some of the games. That's probably going to change with Switch 2, probably, right? So I would imagine that there's going to be more games coming to Nintendo, but Switch 2. So obviously they will keep on doing that, right? So like we know that Indiana Jones is coming. We know that Doom is coming day one for PlayStation. And there's probably going to be even more games in the future. I mean, some people even say that games like Gears, Forza, Halo may be coming to PlayStation. And I mean, I always say never, right? Although we still need to talk about that elephant in the room, because if they won't have any exclusive content, I mean, how they going to, I guess, sell their products, right? I mean, a lot of times even Xbox Game Pass is being compared to like Netflix or whatever, right? But like these streaming services do have some sort of exclusive content, right? You've got certain series like Netflix series or like HBO series that never you will never see on other streaming services, right? I mean, sometimes they share and some of them. So I think long term, I think what's going to happen is that some of these big Xbox titles may end up on PlayStation, but I think it's going to be on a Phil Spencer used it like on a game by game basis. It's going to be I think even Jez Corden mentioned something like when it comes to like Starfield, because people are asking this big question, why Starfield is not on PlayStation yet, right? There were so many rumors about it, and I think that it has all to do with the game engine and what developers really want to do. Because let's face it, like Bethesda, for example, right? I mean, at some point they stopped development of Starfield for PlayStation, right? Because PlayStation was supposed to be initially was supposed to be a PlayStation game as well before Xbox bought Bethesda, right? But they stopped development, so that build is like old and it's probably not even compatible anymore, right? So they would actually have to start from scratch, right? That requires time. Budget is probably not a problem, but resources. They are still making content for Starfield. They are fixing that game, really, like making it better. Let's just say right
I'd
now,
say both.
like that. Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, they kind of fixed it for the most part, right? Like right now, they really need more content, because I actually did enjoy Shattered Space, but it wasn't anything like revolutionary, if you know what I mean.
It was a very safe DLC, I feel for Bethesda.
Beginning was fantastic. I was like, oh, what the hell? Oh, well, I mean, this is something great, right? But then it kind of got like a little bit boring, to be honest with you. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that it's going to depend on the resources they've got and everything like that. So, for example, I don't think Bethesda, because Jez Corden even mentioned that in one of his podcasts, that Bethesda is probably not necessarily even interested in porting Starfield for PlayStation, because that would take away some of the resources from making new content, right? I mean, I'm not saying that Starfield will not be ported to PlayStation at some point in the future. It's probably going to be. I mean, look what happened with Skyrim. I mean, they ported this game to everything, literally everything, right? So I think it's going to depend on many things, right? I mean, multiplayer games, it makes more sense to put these games on other platforms. Question is, Hellblade 2. Does it make sense to port it now for PlayStation? I mean, how much money it made? I mean, was it profitable? Did that game bring any new subscribers to Game Pass. Did it sell well? Probably not really. I mean, if they spend certain millions of millions of dollars to port that game to PlayStation, will they make that money back? So, I don't think it's actually like, again, Hi-Fi Rush. How many copies did they sell on PlayStation? Was it worth it? Did they make more money than they
That's a
put
good
into
question.
porting that game? So, listen, when it comes to Microsoft and Satya Nadella, I mean, he would just port everything in one day, right? I mean, if that was all on him, right? I mean, but there's still technical limitations, and there's also these business kind of decisions Xbox guys, I mean, I'm talking about management, will have to make, whether it's actually worth it or not. And also, there's been these rumors from that. There's been these leaks from. What's it called? How is he called? Like this Spanish
Ecstasies?
YouTuber. Exactly. Yeah, that's the guy. And he's been saying, and he's been right. I mean, it looks like he's got good sources.
No, he seems like a
because
pretty
he's-
dope dude. He's always in the middle of it.
Yeah, but he's been right quite a lot of times when it comes to these leaks, and he's saying that after that Indiana Jones announcement and the reaction to it, I mean, sounds like there's still this kind of battle inside Xbox about how to go about going multi-platform. Do we go like full steam ahead, or do we still keep some games exclusive? And he seems to suggest that there's still this red line when it comes to these big Xbox games. So I mean, it's all up in the air, and I think I don't even think Xbox knows for sure. I mean, the only thing they know for sure is that they still want to still keep releasing games for PlayStation and Nintendo in the future. But it's just, I guess it's just a question of how many games and which ones in particular, right?
No doubt. I mean, Xbox has never been one to show their hand very often unless they are overwhelmingly succeeding. Then they're proud and loud about it. But still, like when it comes to figures, you still don't see a whole lot of them when it comes to Xbox. You see like player numbers or something like that. That's what they like to. I feel like they like to keep whatever they got concealed, and it's sometimes to their detriment, but at the same time they don't give a damn because they're Microsoft, right? They're just like, dude, we're the biggest. Like it doesn't matter if we're third place in game, we're still bigger than everybody in front of us, and we'll do whatever we need to do to make ourselves look great. But let me go ahead and continue with this article a little bit so we can keep moving. So it says, following rumors about Xbox PlayStation 5 ports slowing down, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella has briefly touched on the company's gaming division in its annual letter to shareholders, acknowledging this new strategy codename Project Latitude, which we've heard about for a little while now. It says, Satya, in quote, says, we brought 4 of our fan favorite titles to Nintendo Switch and PlayStation for the first time as we continue to extend our content to new platforms. In the same segment about Microsoft Gaming Division, Nadella mentioned how the company strived to bring great games to more people on more devices. It will also continue to innovate to offer players more ways to experience the games they love, where, when, and how they want, with services like Xbox Cloud Gaming. Just to kind of push on to the next part, because I thought this part was pretty interesting. It says the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King has added hundreds of millions of players to Microsoft gaming ecosystem, with the tech giant now in control of 20 franchises that have generated over 1 billion in lifetime revenue, from Candy Crush, Diablo, and Halo to Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, and Gears of War. So now they're kind of like tying everything together and saying that this has brought $1 million in lifetime revenue. And as you see, they threw in Halo and Gears of War in there as well. And before we hop over, because I want to hop onto this related article afterwards, because I find it very confusing. I'm not sure if you can see it right here, but it says Xbox's PS5 ports have slowed down following Indiana Jones announcement. We'll hop into that in just a minute. But going back to the previous paragraph, what do you kind of think, Mads, when you hear that, you know, they're kind of allocating them all together, but you know, this deal isn't even like a year old yet. Do you think that this money that they're talking about getting is blossoming, or do you think it's just stagnant and they're proud of what they purchased so far?
I mean, are you talking about like Activision kind of IPs, or like other as well?
Well, seeing that they're kind of smushing all of it together, I'm asking as one big box, pretty much, of all of their studios. Do you think that now this is something that will, you know, flourish and actually bloom, or do you think this is just something where they just got everything that they got and it's going to be kind of like stagnated success?
Well, that's a good question, really. You know, I don't think that anyone can actually answer that like properly. But
right, sure.
I mean, let's look at Call of Duty, right? There's been so many people saying, and I'm not even talking about like people on Twitter or anything like that, even analysts or, you know, journalists, gaming journalists. They were like, oh, what's going to happen with Call of Duty under Microsoft, right? They will, you know, get rid of people. They will start cutting corners and that kind of stuff, right? And, you know, especially after last year's Call of Duty, even though it wasn't really still, it was published under Microsoft. Abysmal. Yeah, but it was really like done on like, you know, in a rush, right?
Yeah, it was in a whim, right? It felt like in a whim.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that even made more people to kind of, you know, doubt whether Call of Duty is going to be good again, right? But I guess like this year's Call of Duty, I guess like not only it's like one of the most, if not the most successful one, like numbers, they beat all the numbers apparently, but that's thanks to Game Pass apparently as well. And it's actually getting pretty good reviews, right? I mean, IGN gave it a 9. I don't know what's the Metacritic kind of score, but you know, I've seen a lot of 7s and 8s and stuff. People, you know, a lot of journalists actually do like what they did with that campaign, and I guess, you know, I don't think that everyone reviewed multiplayer just yet. But hey, I mean, people will still play it. So I think that when it comes to other IPs, I guess we would have to go over them like individually, because like we cannot really put all of them kind of together into the same bag, right? Because Activision is a separate identity, right? Yes, it's under Microsoft, but
so you still view them as each of their own instead of the whole one box thing.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And because, you know, it's not possible to like micromanage every single studio from, you know, top of the Microsoft kind of management chain, right? It's just not possible. And also, I would imagine that, you know, they would still want to keep their own kind of culture, and there's like different studios are based in different countries, or they've got different relationship between each other. So it would kind of, I don't think that putting like one rule for all of them would work well for them, to be honest with you, right? And and look, like at the end of the day, like if you look at like biggest Xbox franchises, right? Call of Duty seems to be in a good spot right now, right?
Really, it does. It that I mean, Call of Duty. I'm hearing about it from people. Like, I just went to a store to get my vape. Right, I purchased a vape because I lost one in the rain yesterday. And I went to the store, and I see this dude every time. And I didn't bring up video gaming at all. I didn't tell him that I had a podcast to run to here in a minute or nothing. I was just buying my vape, and I was sitting down, putting the e-liquid in it, right? And the guy's like, dude, I can't wait to get off of work. And I was like, yeah? You been here all day? He's like, nah, I ain't been here that long. I'm just ready to go home and play Call of Duty. And I was like, yo. And I was like, where do you liking that? I was like, what are you playing it on? And he's like, oh, I'm playing it on PC. Absolutely loving that game. It's amazing. It's the best Call of Duty I played in a long time. And I was like, jeez Louise, all right, I get it. I get it. So like, it's just random people that are enjoying this, and that's always good to hear, especially when you're looking forward to other people enjoying what you're enjoying, whether it's on the subscription service or not. It doesn't matter. It was pretty cool to see that. So obviously, as you were saying, Call of Duty is in a really good place. And if I could add something real quick, I personally think they're looking at how they're going to grow Call of Duty, seeing that they just came out and said, yo, this is the biggest Call of Duty ever, right? The most players that we've ever had at launch. Xbox is already thinking, how are we going to improve that the next time, right? Because all they do is think in the future, right? By the time the present comes, it's too late. So I'm thinking the way that they're possibly, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the way that they're going to beat this year's Call of Duty, which Black Ops is a popular version of Call of Duty. I'd argue to say it's maybe even more popular at this time than the Modern Warfare games. It just, people were dying for some Black Ops because it also includes zombies and everything, and just kind of makes sense. Treyarch has been in a lot of people's hearts for some time. I personally think the one way that they're going to beat this one, without a shadow of a doubt, without thinking, oh, I hope we get it, they put it on Nintendo for the next gen console.
Yeah, they will.
I think they're because there's been these whispers about them possibly doing a new version of Black Ops 2. And if you think about it, the last time Nintendo's had a Call of Duty was Black Ops 2, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah. And like I said, when we, at the very beginning of the show, I mentioned Nintendo a couple of times because... and I mentioned that these 4 games that they released this year, only 2 of them actually got I think Switch version, or 3 of them, because some of them were just too demanding for Nintendo. So yeah, I would imagine that all games that are coming to PlayStation will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 as well. It just makes sense, right? And it's totally new audience, and I guess a little bit different audience as well, because you could argue that Xbox, PlayStation, they are kind of, 2 sides of the same coin. Both consoles actually pretty much do the same, right?
Right.
But Switch is a bit different, right? It's not only
completely different.
Yeah, different audience. So
it's
we'll
in a
see.
different generation, pretty much.
Yeah.
New generation ideas with old generation hardware.
But listen, look at what PlayStation is doing, right? With that Horizon Zero Dawn Lego game.
Yeah.
PC, we know what they're doing with PC. Now they are trying to release something for Nintendo and see how that does, right? So happening. And I mean, who knows? Maybe I remember like this pretty old now interview with Sean Layden. It was like literally like a couple of months before he got fired. Let's face it. He said something to a effect where he said that he would like to see a future where, just like with movies, where you buy a movie on a DVD and you put that DVD into all kinds of different DVD players, right? So he was kind of trying to say that he would love to have like one game that you can play on all kinds of devices, right? And he basically said that this is where the gaming is going towards to, right? And that's what we're actually seeing right now, right? It's like Xbox is pretty much there already, and I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder how Nintendo is going to react to it, but they are very kind of how do you call it? They are very conservative when it comes to like changes, when it comes to like their own ecosystem, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But,
they've never been the ones to cram third party.
No.
They're like, oh, third party ain't gonna work. Okay. Oh well. We'll make our own.
But the thing
games.
is that PlayStation would like to keep doing what they do right now, but they can't because the games are too expensive to make these days. And the thing with Nintendo is that their games are not really that expensive to make, because they are not creating these super realistic kind of movie-like kind of titles that cost hundreds of millions of dollars, because you have to pay for the license, you have to pay for the voice actors, and the not that CGIs, but how do you call it, motion capture and everything. Nintendo doesn't do any of that. I mean, listen, their games like Zelda probably cost a lot of money, but like Mario Karts or these like platform games, they don't cost as much as PlayStation or big Xbox games, right? So like they don't necessarily have to, search for these new audiences, because they are still making like a lot of money on their own games. And that's why they don't even really care about third-party support that much, because, all these first-party games feeds Nintendo pretty well when it comes to money.
Absolutely. And at a low cost, right? I mean, think about how many games that they have that are still captioned. Where like they might have a cutscene where they say all of 100 words.
Yeah.
and that's considered like the longest cutscene of the game, right? But most of the game is just like question marks, exclamation marks, and 2-word or 5-word sentences or something like that, just pointing you to the next clue, to the next thing that you need to do or something like that. A bunch of people talking, right? like
Yeah.
that's their voice actors. It's so
But
so,
but it's actually funny, because like I'm getting a little bit older, like I'm over 40 now, and I'm kind of like, sometimes I'm actually kind of, I have this kind of spot here in my heart where I've got like, where I still kind of, because I remember these games from like early 90s and that kind of stuff, which obviously were like that, like always, right? And back in the days, these were like top hits and the best games and best graphics and everything. And so I remember these times, and I don't have a problem playing games like that, right?
I used to have
I
a problem, and now I don't mind. Like, bro, I just beat Metaphor.
Yeah.
Only about a third of that game has voice. Everything else you read in that joint. If you want to know what to do, you better put your glasses on.
Yeah. It's like Yakuza games, right? Pretty much the same.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, MJ Dark, I see you down there. You said no Nintendo slander out here. Okay. All right, fine. Sure. We're not out here trying to slander anybody right now. We're just
Hey, Nintendo is actually doing great. We actually we kind of praise them for what they do when it comes to like business, right? Like,
100%.
you know, they don't spend a lot of money on their games and they make tons of money, and people enjoy these games because these games are still good. I mean, so that means that they don't have to spend billions of dollars on these games to make fun games. So, I mean, let's look at Concord. They spent like over $200 million on that game, and nobody really wanted to play that game.
Nintendo's like the family of two, you got two kids, you and your wife, and somehow y'all get by every week on groceries for $50. Like that's Nintendo to me. It's just like y'all somehow don't ever spend too much money, but everybody gets fed. Everybody gets fed and no one's complaining that the dinner sucked. Like everyone's happy at the end of the day. They go into bed with a smile and a good full belly. They're good to go. But the next piece I wanted to talk about, and we're probably going to be doing this for about maybe 15 or 20 more minutes. I want to keep this show short. I don't like doing every show 3 hours long. I want to give some respect to my brother that's on the other side of the world than I am, because it's probably later for him, or is it?
Yeah, it's like almost 9 p.m. Yeah, but that's still early for me.
That's still fairly early, so it's earlier than I thought. I thought it was more closer to like midnight or something for him. But yeah, I still want to give him some time to be able to game a little bit before he wraps up his evening and whatnot. But anyways, the next part I wanted to go to, which was a separate article of its own, is this one right here. It says rumor Xbox's PS5 ports have slowed down following Indiana Jones announcement. This article came out the same day as the other article that I just got done reading to you. Now it says right here, Halo and Gears are still red lines to this day. And I kind of agree with that. I mean, I could see Halo honestly making its way over to PlayStation for the fact that, they want to keep that franchise alive at all costs, right? But at the same time, it's just like I'm not sure if you've really I'm not sure if you've really tackled the issue that was possibly Halo, because I think it could survive just fine on Xbox alone. I totally think it could. But Microsoft likes to look at the grand scheme and, how can we finesse everybody out of their money instead of just, its own players and stuff like that. So it's still confusing, and that's kind of what I mean by Xbox. Their messaging is a little bit confusing and frustrating sometimes. And that's why I made the show that I made today. But anyways, the article goes on to say, and it's a pretty short article, so I'll just go on ahead and knock it out and we'll talk about it. It says, most of us by now know that Xbox has begun bringing select titles to PS5 this year, with the trend set to continue next spring with Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. However, a new rumor is suggested that the reception to this particular announcement has led to Microsoft squeezing the brakes on its multi-platform plans. According to Ecstasies, the person that you were just talking about just a little bit ago, the Spanish insider, I don't know why I had to, he's just insider, the insider who regularly leaks accurate Game Pass news. Microsoft has either paused or slowed down bringing its games to PS5. The leaker is keen to stress that Xbox hasn't canceled these plans, but the fan reaction to indie simultaneous PS5 announcement has made Xbox take notice. Interestingly, while these multi-platform plans don't seem to have a stop entirely, Ecstasies does not state the popular Xbox Series, Gears, or Halo are red lines. for Microsoft, seemingly meaning that those are two franchises are completely off the table for bringing to other platforms like the PS5. Finally, the insider adds their opinion that Microsoft will continue to move forward once the Indiana Jones reaction has died down. And we can see this happening as well. A lot of the community frustration seems to have stemmed from Xbox not waiting to announce the game for PS5. So maybe Team Green will take a more cautious approach with these PS5 reveals in the future. As always, this is all rumor for now, and Microsoft has not come out with any new information on its future plan or on the future PS5 plans at this stage. So when you hear all of that, and this is, leaked by an insider, Ecstasies, that we talked about just a little bit ago, like, do you actually think that there is some sort of like cause to pause for Xbox, or do you think that this is just somebody trying to make some people relax?
Well, actually, that article is based off of this Spanish guy tweet, and that his tweet was really the reaction to what Satya Nadella said during that financial call, right? About like putting more Xbox games on other platforms, and that's when he said that they took some of these games on pause, right? Me personally, I don't believe that any plans would change only because somebody got upset. Okay. I understand that they are kind of trying to monitor, kind of people's feelings and their opinions on stuff, how they react on stuff. I do believe that what happened with Indiana Jones will probably make them reevaluate how they announce these games, right? Because let's face it, they had the stage for Xbox ready, right? They had all these games. Then they had Indiana Jones. Everyone's super excited. Oh, it's coming to Xbox. It's coming to PlayStation. Now everyone is going to talk about it as an Xbox game. And then they add this and one more thing, right? It's coming to PlayStation. And literally 2 seconds later, all articles about Indiana Jones is not about how good is this game is. It's not about what is it about. It's not about the game. It's only about it's coming to PlayStation, right? Like 90% of articles, videos on YouTube was about that game coming to PlayStation. So really Xbox actually shoot themselves in the foot, right? I mean, is that the type of coverage they really wanted? I mean, maybe they did. Like, somebody famous said that it doesn't matter what they write about you as long as they do write about you or talk about you, right? But I don't think that was a positive thing for Xbox, really. And I think that, like, if they have some sort of plans to release certain titles for PlayStation, I don't think that has changed. Right? If they have already put some money on the table, if they have already invested some money in porting certain titles for PlayStation, I don't think that will stop, because that would be wasted money. If anything, the communication, or should I say the announcements of these games going to be probably later. I mean, is it really so difficult for Xbox to actually kind of celebrate an Xbox game made by Xbox Studio for Xbox and PC, Xbox ecosystem, and then once it's released, announce it for PlayStation? I mean, unless they had some sort of deal, because Indiana Jones is not their IP, right? Unless that was told, they were told to do that. I mean, it just doesn't make much sense, right? But
honestly, I think they got to cover some sort of, amount,
Mm.
and they're a little they may be a little cautious about how much they may get through Xbox by itself with an IP that's not even theirs, right? You saw, I mean, you've seen, even with Sony being as powerful as they are, they had a lot of stress come their way when they dropped Spider-Man 2, right? And recovering the money from that. I'm not here to say that they didn't. I'm pretty sure that they did. They covered it.
I'm actually quite surprised that they're not going to make any DLC for that game.
That might kind of go into how much of they've already spent on it, though. You know, like you already spent X amount, and if you were planning on doing a DLC, that'll cost you, you know, another like 50 to 100 million, possibly, right? And they're looking at that like, I'm not sure if I want to put that in a DLC. I'd rather maybe put 50 to 100 million and make it a whole new game, right? I mean, the leaks with the Insomniac leaks came out, you know, that said that they were planning on making shorter games, and I think it partially goes towards like some of the idea of making these games that, or making these DLCs. You already heard that, you know, they're going to make shorter games, but they also, you know, had Ragnarok. That was supposed to be a DLC that turned into a full game on itself. So I think their whole idea behind DLCs is maybe we're leaving money on the table by just giving continuations of this game when we can just give them a whole new game and they could pay full price for what's essentially dang near a DLC.
But you know what? It makes sense because if you really think, I don't remember what title, what game was that all about. But I've seen some reports which says that a game sold like 12 million and the DLC sold only 3 million, right?
Exactly.
So you know, you think that, oh, like everyone who bought the base game is going to buy DLC, but that's not the way it works.
It is.
So it makes sense to actually make a proper full game than DLC.
Yeah,
which is interesting because
I'm sorry to interrupt you. I've seen Ray Chi in the chat saying DLC is way cheaper than game, but if no one's adopting it, that's a problem. But please continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, it makes sense because, like, you know, what developers say that in order to kind of heal the industry, they need to start making like shorter and cheaper games. And let's talk about PlayStation. Let's talk about PlayStation 2, for example, where a lot of these big studios like Naughty Dog, etc., they would make like 3 separate games per generation, right? I remember Ratchet and Clank. They made 3 of them for PlayStation 2. They were on the same engine, but each would improve. So I guess these days you would say they would just make DLCs. But because they were separate games, you know, sequels, right? They had a proper marketing campaign, and everyone was kind of waiting for the next game to come. Oh, it's a brand new game. A new game is coming, but like you said, DLC don't get the same attention. Oh, it's just additional content. I don't care, right? I mean, look at the Shattered Space DLC, right? Like, I mean, people talked about this DLC for like 2-3 days. Nobody really talks about it anymore. And remember how much talk was there about like Starfield when it first launched, because it was like brand new game, and it's just like more of the same, I guess. Same with, I wonder, because like same with Alan Wake 2, for example, that new DLC just launched. Nobody really talks about it anymore.
I know, and that game's not even a year old yet.
Yeah.
Right? And it's had multiple DLCs come out, which is actually fantastic for Alan Wake. But yeah, man, and also, you know, games today have a lot more hoops to jump over than they did in the past, right? So like the reception of a game, I mean, we just got done seeing Dragon Age Velgar. like how many people are saying this game is amazing, and then the complete opposite makes it sound like Gollum, right? Like there's no in between at all with that game. It's either great or it's trash to people. So like I think reception plays a lot into things as well. But in this specific scenario that we're talking about, yeah, I think PlayStation is looking more to, utilize making new games instead of constantly making DLCs for their games, which may not be a bad idea. And I already know Xbox has talked about as well making smaller games. We found it ironic because they got rid of one of their developers as they were talking about making smaller, tighter, more just fun, goofy games that everybody can kind of play and get into. Man. Me personally, with this article, I don't know what slow down really means, right? Because slow down could mean they're continuing to do third-party deals with a lot more multiplayer, but they're going to be much more strategic on what they do with single-player games. That's how I read it, right? When I see this, if this is true, because there's that if that still hangs in limbo right there.
But problem is that with Xbox games, pretty much most Xbox games are multiplayer games. I mean, sure, Halo, Gears, Forza even, I guess, has got like a single player campaign, but all of them have multiplayer. So you could say that, like, for the most part, like, they make most money on multiplayer modes when it comes to these games, right? Like, that's what people enjoy for the most part, right? Not necessarily, I mean, campaigns are kind of cool, right? But I play campaigns for the most. I'm not really a multiplayer gamer, but with Xbox games, all of these games pretty much have multiplayer, except like certain Bethesda games, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're right. I see what you're saying, but Xbox, as of lately, definitely has been reaching into the bag of single player quite a bit lately. Some of them are old titles, Gears. Gears is still multiplayer. More or less Fable, Perfect Dark. But it definitely seems like they're trying to get more single player games out there. I mean, the two I just mentioned, the compulsion game that's going to be coming out early, I believe next year, possibly with God, what's that dang game called? Something at midnight. Dang it. What's that game called? Something midnight. I forgot. Dang, man, I forgot that dang game's name. Compulsion games. South of Midnight. This is what the game was called that I was thinking of. So geez Louise, what is going on with my computer? I think Xbox is pretty nervous about the reception when it comes to their single player games in particular. Because I think they already know that, this makes sense multiplayer wise, possibly to go third party in that aspect, right? Or to have more people playing, because then that keeps the game alive. Just like a fighter game. It was dumb when Capcom put Street Fighter, exclusive on PlayStation, right? Then it was just like you only had that ability to play. But like once then they came back out and put Street Fighter 6 everywhere, then once again Street Fighter 6 was a force to reckon with. Do you feel that Xbox is like, how nervous do you think Xbox is when it comes to single player games being launched on their own console? Do you think that will continue at all, or do you feel that maybe this rumor has some weight to it?
I mean, well, they don't. I mean, okay, you're right. I mean, there's actually quite a lot of single player games coming now, and they don't really have a good. I mean, they don't really. I mean, when it comes to like track record, like when it comes to past games, Sunset Overdrive didn't really do that well. Quantum Break didn't really do that well. So yeah, I would think that yes, like they are quite nervous about it. Hellblade 2 didn't really set World on fire, I guess. I mean, Ori, I guess, did good, but like it still was a niche game. But I guess the budget wasn't really huge, so that they probably made money on it. But no, I guess you know what? Like this Indiana Jones is going to be a good test because IP is big, so like people do recognize the main character and everything, and if they combine it with a big budget marketing and that kind of stuff, so they probably sell it well. But the good thing is right now is that they've got PC, and I feel like we didn't really talk much about PC, but if you really look at the numbers, it feels like the console users. I mean, the number of console users right now is shrinking, while PC user base is actually growing. And so I think like for both Microsoft and PlayStation, it's actually more important to invest in releasing games on PC and promoting these games there rather than consoles. I guess, for Xboxes, there's a lot of PlayStation guys out there, so it makes sense, right? But Xbox have never been good with single player games, like on Xbox only, right? Even Fable, I mean, okay, Fable actually did good, but we'll see. This is actually, it's difficult to say because, like, at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers, right? I mean, if they see that these games are actually not doing that great on Xbox, then yeah, they will be porting these games to other platforms. But it's just the question is, it's just like with Hi-Fi Rush. That game didn't really do well on Xbox at all and PC. Then they ported it to PlayStation, and that game didn't do well on PlayStation either. So the question is, like, is there still interest in single player games, or should I let me rephrase it? Is there enough of interest in single player games to keep investing money in these games? Even PlayStation right now cannot release their own games only on PlayStation, even though they are a market leader, right? They have to they need that PC money as well. So
yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally see what you're saying. It's hard to say, but it kind of just is what it is for right now. At the moment, let's go on ahead and move on to the last topic that I wanted to kind of bring up before we get up out of here. That last one being Halo Halo Infinite teases debut of new weapon. Have you heard a little bit about that at all?
New weapon?
Mm-hmm.
No, I've heard something about like new mode or something, but
yeah, they have that new like Hell Divers kind of mode, or like Hell Jumpers, I think is what it's called, mode that came out, I believe, on the 25th of this month. And then I believe next month they're talking about possibly having like a third person mode being added to the game, which is pretty interesting as well. But they have a new weapon that's going to be coming out soon. It says right here, Halo Studios has revealed the first look at a potential new weapon heading to Halo Infinite. Fans are hoping that the new gun will join the Bandit rifle as the second new addition to Halo Infinite's arsenal since the game launched in 2021. October 2024 has proven to be an extremely eventful month for Halo fans during the Halo World Championship Tournament 2024, which saw favorites Space Station Gaming claim the world title. 343 Industries announced that the developer was changing its name to Halo Studios as part of a wider rebranding aimed to revitalize the team's workflow and culture. Studio head Pierre Hines also confirmed that that future Halo titles will be created using Unreal Engine 5. This shift away from Halo Infinite's Slipspace engine left many gamers concerned about what the move meant for Halo, for the future of Halo Infinite. Luckily, Halo Studios has some treats in store for Halo Infinite fans. A teaser for the upcoming Operation Great Journey update has just revealed the first official look at potentially new weapon headed to the game. Posted on the Halo YouTube channel with the Master Chief iconic "I need a weapon" tagline. The trailer revealed a sleek UNSC weapon with much shorter barrel than the standard MA-40 assault rifle. Fans have been quickly to identify this could be that this could well be the MA-5K Avenger, a cut-down machine gun variant of the MA-5B assault rifle, popular with Spartan 3s, and first featured in 2006 Halo novel Ghosts of Onyx. So yeah, they got a new weapon for that, but you know they're still putting some energy into Halo Infinite, and I think that's kind of interesting, especially seeing that they just announced that they have a new studio called Halo Studios, and that they're going to be working in Unreal Engine 5 for the future games. First of all, Maz, let me ask you: do you like the change of studio names, although it is ran by the same person that kind of had to grab the wheel towards the end of 343's life?
I mean, I got used to the 343 Industries, I guess, but I mean, it doesn't bother me, to be honest with you. If that will make Halo better, why not, right? I think it's more about like their, I don't know, like I think they just want to just say, okay, this is the new beginning, right? I understand why, because Halo Infinite, even though it was pretty good game, I mean, still is a good game. Even campaign, even though it was cut short, but it was really an enjoyable experience. But like, I feel like people were still disappointed on many fronts, like multiplayer. There were some shortcomings in the campaign as well. But I still feel, I mean, I don't know what was the big plan for Halo Infinite, but it does feel like Halo really need a proper reboot, right?
Yeah, that 10-year thing flew right into the fan.
Yeah, whether we're talking about like a proper reboot, like from scratch, or maybe reboot after the actual the trilogy, right? Although Halo 4 story was okay, it they don't really need to change anything there. But Halo 5 and especially Halo Infinite story, it's like all over the place. So I think that they need to kind of. I think
Halo
me
5
personally,
for
I think, yeah,
I was confused.
they need to get rid of it and kind of think about what to do next with it, right? I mean, it would be nice to get like a proper, nice series of kind of games talking about like obviously Master Chief and but you know what, like even games without Master Chief, like Halo Reach, for example, that's my favorite Halo game. There's no Master Chief in it, but the actual not like the gameplay was fun and everything, but like the story is the best. That's the best story
It was impactful.
Halo ever had. Yeah, it's like it's and at when I beat that game, I was like, I was kind of depressed, really.
Right?
If you know how.
Oh yeah, because you think that something else is supposed to happen, and you realize. Well, I mean, really, if you follow the story, it kind of tells you that like this is it. But like, you wait for something cool to happen, and it's just like, okay, nothing's coming to save me.
Yeah, exactly. And it just stuck to me, right? But so listen, all I'm saying is that they really need to do something with Halo, and engine, that's fine. Technology, that's great. If they really need to fix that, the Halo Infinite engine apparently was difficult to work with. So, that was apparently part of the problem. But to be honest with you, the biggest problem was the management. They got rid of it. Now they've got this Pierre guy. I'm hearing conflicting stories about this guy apparently as well.
About who?
About Pierre. So, now the chief, the actual head of the studio, forgot his full name.
Yeah, Pierre Hines.
Yeah. So I don't know, like, if they, I think what they really need to do is that they really need to have a plan and just stick to it.
That's a fact. And that was a big issue with Halo Infinite. You heard about all that cut content in that game and all of the backlash that they were essentially listening to people and content creators about how to make their game instead of just making the game. And it's just like, dude, just turn your phone off, get off of the internet, leave Twitter alone, get off of Reddit, and just go make your game. Just go make your game. And like don't make promises. Don't make any promises. Just say, hey, I got a new Halo game coming up. People are going to ask you, hey, you bringing this back? Are you bringing that back? And just say, I got a new Halo game coming. Just leave it at that. Leave it at that. Make what you want to make. And if it flourishes, it flourishes. If it sucks, then you know what you possibly could have done. And maybe you could like restore or course correct from there. But show us your vision first before you start relying on other people. And I got one last question to kind of ask you before we close out and get up out of here. And what's cracking, Sir X-Men? Good to see you up in the chat, brother. Yodani Quezada, good to see you as well. Ray Chi, Rabbi, all you guys, I think it's Rabbi. It might be Raby. I don't know. Curry Cosmo, all you guys, thanks for showing up. Make sure you hit that like button, share this thing out if you can. But the last thing I was going to ask you is if you were able to put your 2 cents in and Pierre Hines actually like were to like take it serious and whatever action or whatever thing you say that they'll kind of go on ahead and do, how would you kick back off with Halo, being that it's a new a new company or a new title or whatever on their company and stuff like that? How would you ask them to bring this thing back to the forefront?
Well, go back to roots. I mean, first off, great campaign, and think about like long-term plan, right? Like, don't make some, like think about what's, because like if you think about Halo 4 or 5 Infinite, there's no continuation of the story there at all, right? Hardly any. So that's one thing. I mean, gunplay and gameplay and that kind of stuff, I guess they got that right with Infinite. So, you know, I'm not necessarily saying that they shouldn't change anything there. You know, listen to the gamers what they want, but like don't necessarily. I mean, it's your game, like you said, like, you know, make it your own as well, right? And good multiplayer. I think they right now they've got good multiplayer,
They
and
sure
I think
do.
that they are. And the thing is that like they finally reached a point where they've got like this good rhythm, right, to delivering like, you know, the actual content. So I would imagine that once they move to Unreal, it's going to be even easier for them, right? Because more people, they will be able to hire more people to actually make that content. Because from what has been said in the past, one big problem was the fact that they couldn't hire enough people to actually make that stuff for Halo, right? On
Right.
that bloody engine. And on top of that, they had that weird kind of policy at Microsoft where they can hire you only for like 2 years.
Yeah, contracts.
And then as a contractor, and then they have to give you like a full-time job or just get rid of you. But listen, I'm not a developer, but I work at IT, and trust me, to train somebody properly on a job, you know, like technical job, right? It doesn't take 3-4 months. It takes years sometimes. So if they have pool of people with Unreal Engine 4 and 5, well 5 now, knowledge, it's like half work done already. They know how
Right.
to work with it. They just say, okay, here's the engine, here's the tools for that engine, do me that and do me, you know, whatever they need, right? So I think that moving to Unreal was actually a good idea.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. I got to ask you something specific. Like as we're getting out of here, if Halo were to tell you, "Hey, we're redoing 1, 2, and 3," we're not like redoing it, but we're like bringing it to today's looks and standards. It's going to be like pretty much the exact same story, but it's going to look, you know, of 2024's, you know, style. And, you know, what would you think of something like that?
No, I mean, I don't want that.
Interesting.
I mean, listen, if you want to port original Halo to PlayStation, if you need money, do it. But like, you know, I still replay Halo games once for a while, and to be honest with you, they still play great right now. Sure, graphics would make it more modern and that kind of stuff, but do we really need that? These graphics actually still look good in HD and or 4K and whatever with better you know, textures and stuff. I would say just focus on new stories. Listen, you can say all what you want about Xbox, but I don't want Xbox to become another PlayStation with hundreds of remasters of remaster of a remaster. I mean, who the hell needs that?
That's fair.
Listen,
you already know the story of Halo 1. You don't need to hear it again, is what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, no, I'm fine with remasters or remakes. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver is getting a remaster really. That game is like 100 years old, right? I get it. Better graphics, better controls, better camera, and that kind of stuff. It makes sense because they are kind of fixing that game. If you're going to sell it, they are remastering 2 games for half price probably. or like, maybe not full $60 or $70. That makes sense. But like remaking the same games over and over again, that's like, I mean, how many times am I supposed to play these games? Or should I say, another thing, how many times do you expect me to buy these games? Like Horizon Zero Dawn. I played it on PlayStation, bought it on PlayStation, then I bought it on PC. I have it on PC. I mean, I don't need another version, which...
Okay, you gonna pay that $10?
It looks a little bit better, but I've seen the comparisons. Like, I would even say that some models and some stuff actually looks better in the original game.
Oh my goodness. All right.
No, I'm not joking. I know that people...
You're not the first person I heard say this.
Yeah, and honestly, just look at it. Because okay, I'm not going to really be down on that game because I'm actually a big fan of Horizon Zero Dawn. I really enjoyed it, especially for the story. Some people say it's boring. I actually did enjoy it because it's has this hi-fi kind of like futuristic kind of nice story about it. But I like it, RPGs. I like exploring the world, so I actually did enjoy it. But I'm not going to be paying 15 times for the same game. Makes no sense. So if you ask me about Halo, leave it alone. There's these original games. Then we got the Halo, how is it called? The Master Chief Collection. So you've got one big package with all these games. Great. Now make more games. I would say that Gears Collection actually makes sense. Why? Because it's not on PC, right? But Halo, I mean, I don't even think people would really buy it that much because
You
Halo.
don't think?
Well, some people would, but like, I'm not sure if that actually makes sense. So when I hear about Halo, Halo Combat Evolved, like a remake, I'm like, nah. I mean, I love this game, but we've got two versions already. We've got like the original Xbox game and the remake, because they already remade this game with new graphics and everything.
Right.
I mean, me personally, I don't need that. I don't need a third version.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I know. Oh, hi, sweetie. Good job at school. Thank you.
And I didn't change it.
All right, good job. Let me finish.
Okay.
Oh man, that was something. She's really proud of herself. but anyways, so yeah, I mean, in the first Halo, the one thing that you didn't really get any of was like multiplayer. Like you got to do, system connect, right? With other people that had the same console within your household for the most part, unless you got really tricky with it, which there was ways to be able to do system link without being in the same household that people figured out. But I think that's the one thing that could kind of help out with maybe remaking the very first Halo, having Sidewinder. I think that was one of the maps in the original Halo. That was a really dope map that you didn't really get to enjoy in multiplayer like that. But
do you really need like a separate game for that? Like, I guess they could just bring some of these, classic maps, the current games like Halo Infinite, or the new Halo that is coming in the future.
That's very true. I wouldn't mind a remake of 1, 2, and 3, but at the same time, I would like better if they made an RPG version of Halo, where Master Chief is my boss. I don't play as him. He's my boss. He tells me where to go, where I need to infiltrate, what I need to do, and I could play the game different ways and have different outcomes. I think that would be amazing, right? Kind of like a Mass Effect version of Halo.
Exactly. And to be honest with you, you don't necessarily need Master Chief in every single game. Like the OST or Halo Reach showed that already, right? Like
ODST was my favorite one.
It was great. I did enjoy it really. So and I mean, like RPG. I mean, yeah. And let's face it, like Halo universe is so huge. Like books and movies and animations and that kind of stuff. I'm sure there's more than plenty of materials for like a kind of Mass Effect like kind of RPG. I mean, I would love it. I would day one.
I know that'd be an easy buy for me because I get to finally be my own Spartan, dress and look the way that I want to, right? And be able to make my own decisions to help out the betterment of the UNSC, right? So like exactly. That would be my first choice if I had to tell if I had to tell Pierre Hines, like, yo, make this, I'd be like, yo, make the RPG where I can be my own Spartan and just do all that I want. You can give me a sandbox. You can make it level by level, but ideally I'd like it to be a sandbox. Or kind of like Mass Effects where it's like large levels, but like, you go to different areas and whatnot. Like I'd love something like that ideally, but we've finally hit the end of our show, Mads. I really appreciate you for sliding through, talking everything that you knew when it comes to Xbox, Halo, yada, yada, Satya, Phil, whatever. I had a really good time with you here today. Thank you for coming through short notice and being on the show with me. I think it was short notice. It was like a week, but I call that short notice.
Oh, it was okay. It wasn't that short.
Yeah. It wasn't too crazy short. But regardless, I enjoyed what you had to say here. Very knowledgeable. And it's also good to hear from a tech head as well, because you can kind of understand where some people are coming from with, learning and getting to understand how to pretty much, work in that type of industry. But anyways, if I could have you, go on ahead and let everybody know where they can find you, and let's get up out of here.
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for the invite. Really appreciate that. I had a lot of fun during this show. I always love to talk about like games and Xbox and that kind of stuff. So Halo as well. You can find me on Twitter, MadsPL, and Mads Gaming on YouTube. Still making some videos here and there. So yeah, thanks a lot again, and you guys have a great day, and thanks a lot for the invite.
Absolutely. And I did do an interview with Mads a while back for Behind Them Sticks.
Yeah.
It was a little over like a year or two ago at this point. But really dope, dude. I'm happy he decided to come back through to TSWS Game and talk a little bit of stuff. Thank you guys all for coming here. We're not going to be on camera every single time here, especially for those that don't have cameras. But Mads was happy to be on camera, and I said, hell, I ain't going to let you be on there alone. Let me hop on camera as well, too.
I said we either go on camera or we're not going at all. So.
Oh, damn. All right. Yeah. The stipulations was hitting me right in the chest. Coughed up a little blood, but it's all right. It's all right. We good. But anyways, yeah, you guys make sure you hit that like button, share this thing out. And if you're new, subscribe, please. Other than that, I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode of Bullsitting with me, Loke, Cozy Beluga, Matt Likes Games, Mental 9R, and possibly a guest for that show. I haven't quite figured that part out yet, but I appreciate everybody that slid through. Y'all have a wonderful rest of the day, and if I don't see you tomorrow, have a great weekend as well. This is your boy Ham Solo 05 Gaming signing out from TSWS Gaming, letting you know to keep it gaming or keep it moving. See you later, y'all.